We start?
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our session for today, where we're going to connect live with the Aquarius Reef Base. My name is Joe Grabowski, and I'm the founder of something called Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants. Basically, we connect classrooms to scientists, adventurers, and conservationists all over the world. And I'm really excited to do hangout with the group at Aquarius Reef Base today. Our first hangout together, from what I hope will be many more to come. So before we get started, I'd like to introduce our groups who are joining us today. We have a great group of people from across the United States. So let me fire up some microphones here. We've got our first group is Mrs. Landis's and Mr. Wilson's 5th grade classes from Guadalupe Elementary in San Jose. If you guys want to give a shout out, your mic's live. All right, awesome. Our next group as well from the San Jose area, we've got Mr. Sinclair's class. I believe they're 5th grade in San Jose. Awesome. We have Miss Klein's group joining us. Your mic's live. We have Miss Prittle's class. They're joining us. There we go. Our 5th grade class joining us today, and our final group is the Age of Aquarius. So they're a student group at the they're pretty excited to be here too. That's amazing. So good. Well, we've got a great group today. Really excited for today's hangout. I'm going to introduce the education team we have joining us today. We have Kathy and Eileen, and Kathy's going to kick things off with a little intro, and she's got a little presentation to share.
Alrighty. Hi everyone, thanks so much for joining us today. We're really excited, and yes, Joe, this will be one of many connections that we'll make. So I'm going to let Kathy kind of run with it. I'll be jumping in and filling in any holes and making sure that, you know, we address any questions or concerns, and I'm still trying to get in contact with the folks down at Aquarius, so hopefully they'll be joining us any minute now, okay?
Alrighty. So hi guys, my name is Kathy. I'm, education coordinator, and that's Eileen, who is our education director at Aquarius. We're here at the watch desk. You can kind of see what it looks like. Let me, what did I do? Whoop. Can you guys kind of see it? All right. So I'm going to kick it off with a presentation just to give the guys down at Aquarius some time to get the habitat fired up. But we'll get started. Oh, sorry, forgot I had to screen share. Okay. Alrighty, guys. Can everybody hear me okay?
We can hear you. Did you? Oh, there it goes. It's up.
Alrighty. Okay. So, sorry guys. Okay. So, wait up, actually.
Yeah, just give us 1 second. Our computer's a little slow right now.
Oh, God. Can we do it? Yeah. Okay, so this slide kind of just shows you, we as scientists, we love to sit at our computers and make models about what is going on in our ecosystems, but there's truly nothing like being able to live on the bottom of the ocean and observe the changes that are happening on our coral reefs. As you guys may know, we've lost like 50% of our coral reefs in the past 50 years, and this is a problem that we now have a major opportunity to solve, and we need to. So what we do at Aquarius is extremely valuable, and it provides us with a connection to our oceans unlike any we'll ever have. So Aquarius Reef Base, it's the world's only underwater laboratory. They call it the Inner Space Station because NASA astronauts use it to train for space exploration, and we'll get started. Oh, can you guys hear the video? Oh, no.
So imagine a place where science fiction meets science reality.
Where explorers young and old are pushing boundaries and challenging conventional thinking.
Where man and machine interact seamlessly in an extreme environment. And where we're learning how to colonize Mars or even land on an asteroid. Where scientists are unlocking the mysteries
of a 500 billion-year-old planet. Not sure if that was right. But
and where we're learning how expeditionary medicine can actually be used in the most trying of environments, in the most extreme environments.
Here we actually have a surgery that was going on that we were using. Well, at Aquarius, we did a surgery that was remotely controlled in Houston. So this is a robot that is doing a surgery on a dummy. Why would we want to do a surgery underwater at Aquarius? Well, imagine that you are an astronaut and you are in space and you get appendicitis. What do you do in this situation if you are not trained as a surgeon? Well, they're going to use robotics, and that is what we're learning about here at Aquarius. We tried it out and had a successful surgery on a dummy from 60 feet underwater, which is pretty awesome.
So here we're also learning about man's physiology and how man reacts to sleep, deprivation, confinement, and isolation, and very, very long work hours.
We're also, again, we're studying the effects of climate change. We've lost 50% of our coral reefs in the past 50 years, and at Aquarius we're able to observe the changes that we're seeing and come up with solutions to these big, colossal, issues.
And then inform policymakers on how they can more efficiently manage these resources in a cost-effective manner, and thus empowers you and I to act to be more sustainable in everyday life. It's a place where teachers get inspired, students motivated to change the world, and artists also inspired.
We don't know right now if one of the classrooms that we're talking to has the next, marine architect that's going to build Aquarius 2.0. Right now Aquarius is the world's only underwater laboratory, and looking towards the future, we need to be thinking about the next generation of undersea exploration, and we never know who we're inspiring, and so what we do is pretty important and powerful.
And where this is a place where a sense of exploration is a primary job requirement. Welcome to Aquarius.
Synchronize your watches if you care to. Verify your computer fixtures are on. Set the air. Good battery. Read both regulators, primary and secondary.
It's okay. You got this. You're gonna have to push through. Do you have a computer so we can see that?
All right, so what is Aquarius? Aquarius is the world's only saturation diving facility. It is located within a sand patch in a coral reef off the coast of the Florida Keys, off the coast of Key Largo, Florida. It's about 45 minutes off the coastline or 8 miles offshore. So there you have Conch Reef. This is an aerial view. Then there you have the life support buoy, or what we call the LSB, which basically is connected to Aquarius with a 200-foot cable. The life support buoy contains generators, compressors, and provides Aquarius with all the telemetry it needs to be a self-contained habitat. Aquarius is connected to a base plate. It's about 43 feet long, 9 feet wide. It is about the size of a school bus. In Aquarius, we have room for 6 aquanauts, which is what we call people who actually saturate and dive and live and work underwater. Okay, those way stations and those line highways that you see there, and I'll replay it again, are basically, it's almost like a road system that we set up. So here at FIU's Medina Aquarius program, we basically facilitate research or training. So when folks are down at Aquarius, they actually have 8 to 9 hours a day where they can dive. So many of them actually venture pretty far away from Aquarius and don't necessarily come back for about an 8 to 9 hour period. So these line highways and way stations that we set up basically allow these folks to not get lost, allows them to navigate throughout the coral reef so that they can accomplish their mission objectives. The way stations allow them to actually take a break, fill up their scuba tanks, and actually talk to one another, especially if they're part of a science team. Okay. Now, Aquarius has all the comforts of home. It's got 3 different locks. So we have the wet porch, which is where the divers actually enter and exit the habitat. Okay, they go in through a moon pool, and hopefully you'll get to see that in a few minutes once the teachers join in. There's also an entry lock, which is where all the scientific experiments are carried out. It houses the power and life support controls in the entryway. Then we also have the main lock, which is where the aquanauts cook and eat their meals and work. It's also called the galley. The computer workstations are used into shore-based, the computer workstations are tied into shore-based computers via wireless communication. It also houses the primary and life support controls. And then off at the end, you have the bunk room, which has basically 6 bunks for the aquanauts to sleep and rest.
Normally we'll have 2 technicians from FIU making sure that habitat is running properly. They're there in case of any type of emergency. They're the ones who know how the habitat works. And then we'll have 4 scientists, astronauts, and tonight we'll have teachers. So yeah. Up next, we're going to show you guys a tour of the inside of Aquarius. Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to do that. Wait. Can you stop it?
So basically, like Kathy was saying,
sorry.
This is a tour of Aquarius given by astronauts. So there we have Andy Mogensen. He is an astronaut with the European Space Agency, and he actually had the opportunity to live aboard the International Space Station this past fall, and was also an aquanaut last year during an Aquarius mission. There he's joined with members from the Japanese Space Station as well as NASA, the American Space Station. And they're going to tell you a little bit about Aquarius and give you an inside tour.
Tuesday evening, we're in the habitat under the sea. That can only mean one thing: the mission has started. Let's meet the crew.
Hey there, I'm Joe LaCava. I'm a NASA astronaut and commander for CTES 2.
Hey, soy Chinuchi con NASA. Good to be having a with me.
Kate Rubens, NASA astronaut, and Kathy Baker.
And I'm Andy from ESA, and we're really excited, all of us, to start the sea test mission. And we welcome you to the Habitat Aquarius. Let's take a tour.
Okay, so make sure you so I got it.
This is the entry port with the moon pool that you can see down here behind me. This is where we enter and exit the habitat from. This is where we store our diving equipment. This is where we have all of the air connections. And it also serves up as our shower. Next we get to the entry lock, which serves as an airlock with the 2 slidable doors. It also has a hygiene station where we can brush our teeth. And most importantly, our comm station where we can talk to the divers who are out on EVA, and with Mission Control Center topside. Stepping further into the habitat, we get to the galley where we can prepare our food. We have a small table for eating where Suichi and Kate are sitting. Hey guys. Hi. And all the electronics for controlling the habitat. And last but not least, we have our bunk room with 6 bunks for the 6 people on board Aquarius. There's not a lot of room, as you can see, but plenty for sleeping.
That's so cool.
Alrighty. All right, so that's the inside of Aquarius. Moving on, we're going to talk about saturation diving.
All right, so what is saturation diving? It's really a matter of simple physics and human physiology. So we're all saturated right now. More specifically, we're saturated to 1 atmosphere of pressure. So the gas that's dissolved in our blood and our tissues is proportional to the air pressure in the room that you're sitting in. Obviously, none of us are experiencing any adverse effects until we alter the air pressure. Oops, sorry about that. So what happens when we go underwater? As we increase the pressure, then more gas is dissolved into our blood and our tissues. The real beauty of this, however, is that once we reach a certain depth and stay there, our tissues become saturated, and we can stay at that depth indefinitely.
So essentially, there is no reason that people cannot live underwater. Your body becomes accustomed to changes in pressure. So if you're down at 2 atmospheres, your body will become accustomed to that, and technically you can live underwater 3,100 days, even longer.
But we can only safely return to the surface only by allowing this gas to slowly come out of your tissues and be exhaled away. So since aquanauts inside Aquarius are at about 2.5 atmospheres of pressure, this decompression process takes 16 long hours. If we don't decompress, you can imagine what happens. The gas inside us begins to expand upon us ascending, and causes what we call decompression sickness, or the bends, which is a very, very painful illness.
Basically, bubbles form in your joints, and they can cause blood clots. If the blood clots form in your heart, they can cause a heart attack. If they form in your brain, they can cause a stroke. So the bends is very dangerous, and that's why you need to be trained in order to dive.
So basically, what are the benefits of saturation diving over standard scuba diving from the surface, from a boat right on the surface? So first, aquanauts are given the gift of time. Diving to a depth of about 95 feet using air or oxygen-enriched gas from the surface, divers only get about 60 minutes to do their work over a 24-hour period. So imagine if you're a marine scientist studying coral reefs. You only get about an hour a day to really study the system that you're looking at. But if you compare this with saturation diving from Aquarius, these same divers get 540 minutes per day to do their work. This is about a 10-fold increase in productivity. So now they get that much more time to really study the coral reef ecosystem or whatever fish they're looking at and really, really make some really cool observations.
Saturation diving takes away the most dangerous part of diving, which is coming back to the surface and going down. So it really makes diving a lot more effective and a lot more efficient.
And Aquarius was built with safety in mind, so that we have redundant systems in place and we have the capability to actually function independently from the surface for a minimum of 72 hours.
So our mission is really 5-fold. Of course, scientific research is a major part of that in the world's only underwater laboratory. We're trying to learn everything we can about our oceans so that we can understand, we've only explored 5% of our oceans, while we know 100% of what Mars looks like, 100% of what the moon looks like. And so, we really need to understand, especially when we're dealing with the effects of climate change causing our coral reefs to die out at an extremely rapid rate. Also, very important, of course, we are training future astronauts. The people who may go colonize Mars oftentimes start at Aquarius. Well, always start at Aquarius Reef Base because it is the inner space station. It is the closest thing we have on Earth to going to space. You're dealing with the same kinds of effects, you know, zero gravity and all of that. Also, research and development of undersea technology. Any like types of hardware gets tested at Aquarius and used first, you know, at Aquarius first, and then, you know, it gets further developed. So yeah, and also, of course, what I feel is one of the most important things we do is education outreach. We are the ones who are inspiring the future of ocean conservation and the future of ocean exploration, like, you know, you guys sitting in your classrooms.
So I think, Joe, I haven't heard back from the folks at Aquarius, but I know we're getting ready to potentially end this call. So I don't know if any of the groups have any questions or want to discuss anything. We're happy to stop right now and hopefully still give these folks time to join in.
But if not, you guys are welcome to join our next sessions. I'm really sorry that Aquarius hasn't been able to connect. It's really sad, but it's kind of part of the job when you're dealing with an underwater lab, you know. Communication delays are oftentimes what happens.
Are oftentimes the case, and hopefully we've done a good job of explaining a little bit about what we do, where we're located, and why it's so important to preserve the world's only undersea research lab.
All right. Well, Kathy and Eileen, that was a great presentation, and you know, from my end, I know how much trouble can come just from a computer trying to get these sessions going, so I can imagine what kind of difficulties come up with a whole habitat and underwater system. So to the classrooms who have joined today, we do apologize, but unfortunately the weather and technical issues are sometimes out of our control, but we do have more than enough time that we can visit each group for a quick question. And
Joe, if I could say something, since we obviously are running, you know, a little late, and I know the session will end, and we haven't had time to connect with the Aquanauts, I'd like to extend an invitation to all the groups here. Our next mission, obviously, we'll do this with you, Joe, but you all will have priority in connecting with Aquanauts down at Aquarius. So I promise you that we'll definitely make it work.
So sorry.
All right. That's okay. These things happen. These things happen. I mean, we try connections from Antarctica and other places, and there's a risk involved. So I thank you for having the presentation ready for this kind of an event. So let's jump to Mrs. Landis's group if you guys have a question for Kathy and Eileen.
We are curious. We've been following Scott Kelly's Year in Space. We're curious if he ever came to Aquarius for any training.
Yes, he has, actually. We have been lucky enough to actually be working with NASA with the NEMO division. So NASA has a branch that's known as NEMO, and it stands for NASA's Extreme Environment Mission Operation. And so what that is, it's a coalition of not just NASA astronauts, but Japanese and European astronauts. So it's basically a global group. It's a group of astronauts that come together and are really trying to push the boundaries in terms of what we're doing with space exploration. So as Kathy mentioned in the presentation a little bit ago, astronauts like him have actually been down to Aquarius, have actually had the opportunity to train. You have to think about it this way, you know, Aquarius, the dimensions of Aquarius are very similar to the dimensions in the Destiny Lab of the International Space Station. When astronauts commit to a mission and going to space, you know, whether it's Mars or landing on an asteroid or going to the International Space Station, you know, once they commit, there is no veering away from that. So if they decide they don't want to do it, then they compromise the entire mission. Same with Aquarius. Once these folks commit to saturation diving and going and living and working underwater, then, you know, they have to commit to that. So that's kind of some of the commonalities between training underwater and training up in space. All the instruments that these astronauts need to learn how to use in space, they practice underwater. Hopefully, if we land one day on Mars, we're going to build stuff on it. We're going to build some infrastructure. So we actually, right by Aquarius, have some stuff that astronauts have actually built. They actually, any techniques or anything that they have to practice up in space, they practice underwater. So it's very, very similar in terms of, you know, the types of experiences. Imagine if you had to live and work with everyone around you right now. in a space no bigger than your classroom. So imagine if you had to live and work with all your classmates for like a week at a time. Do you think you'd get along with them? You guys think you'd enjoy being with them? No? No? Aww. Well, it's very similar with astronauts. So they need to make sure that they could actually have what it takes, essentially, to basically do that, and for NASA and NEMO to invest the money to send them up to space. So yeah, we've had some pretty cool astronauts. Buzz Aldrin was here. He was landed on the moon, and I could not believe my eyes when he walked through that door. So yeah, Kathy and I have a pretty cool job, and we don't take it for granted. But we're not going to be here forever, so hopefully you guys are going to be taking over.
All right, great question. Mr. Sinclair's class, your mic's on.
How many people work in the lab at a time?
So sometimes, normally in terms of living and working there, we have 6 people. Sometimes it gets a little crowded. It is only 43 feet long, 9 feet wide, so it's not very big.
It's about the size of a school bus or an RV. So, you know, there are 6 people will stay overnight. Sometimes we'll have people that will come in, but they won't sleep there. So
usually the groups that we host, especially the astronauts or the marine scientists, basically have a huge party, a huge group of people that they're working on. But a lot of those people actually stay here where we are at the shore base. A lot of them actually sit topside on the surface vessels, doing a lot of the diving and stuff, but not necessarily saturation diving, which means not necessarily sleeping and living and working in Aquarius day after day without actually coming up and seeing the surface. So it does vary depending on the people that we are hosting. I'll tell you this, we had 2 years ago we had Mission 31, which Fabien Cousteau hosted. So Fabien Cousteau is the grandson of Jacques Cousteau, and your homework is basically to find out who Jacques Cousteau is and find out what he did for the oceans. So his grandson actually stayed in Aquarius, and he had all kinds of people constantly coming to visit and participate in the mission. But at the end of the day, when it was lights out, it was only 6 people, and that's all we can accommodate.
All right, very cool. I remember that mission well. My class was lucky enough to connect with Fabien. I believe it was day 13 when we connected.
That's great.
Yeah, very cool. Okay, Miss Klein's group, your microphone's on.
So how does oxygen get to Aquarius?
Great question. So I'm not sure if you guys remember, there was a life support buoy. There's a picture. It's a big cylindrical yellow structure, and it's on the top, you know, above on the surface. And the life support buoy is connected by an umbilical to the habitat. That umbilical, it brings compressed air into Aquarius. So the way that Aquarius works is, imagine a cup that's upside down underwater. And you know how when you have a cup underwater, it keeps the air inside? Similar concept. So imagine this cup, and we are pumping air into it via the life support buoy so that the water level will never rise into the habitat. So good question.
So yeah, that life support buoy, like Kathy mentioned, does pump oxygenated air into Aquarius. Here at the watch desk, whenever there is a mission taking place, I don't know if you guys could see it, but we have some really cool sensors. And so this machine right here actually tells us what the oxygen level and carbon dioxide levels are inside Aquarius, so that we can monitor and make sure that the folks inside Aquarius are safe and able to carry out their duties. But obviously safety is priority, so we always are monitoring that here.
Yeah, we want to make sure the oxygen that they're breathing in the habitat is similar to the oxygen we are breathing here, you know, in order to be safe and
carry out their work.
Yeah.
Do what they're there to do.
Be able to live underwater.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. This is Prito's group. Go ahead with the question.
Hi. I know that there was a shark at Aquarius.
Will you get over here?
So you know there was a shark at Aquarius Reef Base. Is it still there?
So Aquarius is actually actually located in Conch Reef. Conch Reef is one of the deeper reefs here in the Florida Reef Tract, off the chain of the Florida Keys. So what it is, it's part of the Florida Keys National Marine Sanctuary. And does anyone know what a sanctuary is? Any idea what a sanctuary is? Yes, in the purple. Yeah. What's a sanctuary? In the purple shirt.
Austin. Yep.
Yep.
Say it. A sanctuary is basically a place where animals can roam freely without having what's it called?
Exactly. Very good. So it's part of the Florida Keys National Marine Sanctuary. So there's no fishing allowed in that area. That's not to say that folks don't do it, but for the most part, it is a fairly pristine environment. So we do have quite a few species of sharks that come by Aquarius. We have Caribbean reef sharks. There was even a 13-foot great white spotted not far. There are hammerhead sharks.
We saw some whale sharks the other day.
There were whale sharks there the other day. So if you don't know what they look like, you should definitely Google them. But
Cool.
Yeah, we do have some really cool critters. One of the coolest animals, I think, at Aquarius, we have eagle rays that constantly come and visit, and we also have a resident Goliath grouper. So if you don't,
Jeek, I believe
yep.
his name is.
And a Goliath grouper can get so big, they can be as big as a Volkswagen buggy, a small car. Imagine that.
Good question.
All right, excellent questions from our classrooms. And let's give the final question of the session to the Age of Aquarius, the group that's joining us, the student group. What's a wonderful model?
Guys.
So we wanted to ask you guys, what kind of food do you guys normally eat on the Aquarius Reef Base? And how do you make it?
All right, I'm going to grab one. She'll tell you all about it.
So at Aquarius, there's not an oven for cooking. It's just a microwave, and they have hot water. So typically they eat like microwavable food, lots of cookies, M&Ms, things that come in things that can come in a bag. Or also they'll eat astronaut food. So if you guys have ever gone camping, and this mountain house food, they bring a lot of this down there. You can just put hot water in it and stir it up, and then that's your meal. So yeah. This kind of stuff. We have green beans, we got beef stroganoff with noodles, we got chili mac with beef. So they can eat all kinds of food at Aquarius.
All right, well, great set of questions, great presentation. It's too bad we weren't able to make it down to the habitat, but it sounds like the classes and the groups who did join us will have first crack at the next time we go down. So that's amazing. We're actually getting ready to host another group shortly. But I want to thank everybody for taking part, especially the classrooms, and especially Eileen and Kathy for flying by the seat of their pants and putting together a great presentation and really doing a solid job answering the questions. So, yeah, thanks, everybody. I hope everybody enjoys their Easter weekend coming up. We will be doing more connections from Aquarius coming up soon, and anyone who can stick around, in about 5 to 10 minutes we're launching another one, and maybe we'll have a little better luck with the habitat. So thank you so much. If you want to say goodbye as well, Kathy and Eileen.
Bye guys, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
It means a lot to have you guys come here and be interested in what we do.
All right, a rowdy group. Okay, we'll see you again soon, and thanks everyone for taking this virtual trip with us today. Have a great weekend.
Bye.